Services Agency of Nigeria has identified high, moderate, and low floodplains across the country as part of the 2024 annual flood outlook. So from the slides, you can see the states affected is Borno, Bauchi, Jigawa, Taraba, Yobe, Benue, Gombe, and several others. Actually, they listed 31 states. And of course, I'll be moving on to the contributory factors of floods. Number one, there is high rainfall. In areas of the country, particularly the southern parts of this country, we have really high rainfall that can culminate to floods, especially in the Niger Delta. The second point there is global warming. That's because as the atmosphere heats up, there's moisture that is gotten in there and is available for precipitation. Okay. Third point is blocked or obstructed drains. And then we have the dam overflow in the case of Borno. And then release during a flood warning. First is to relocate to higher grounds, very important, sensible. And then frequent media checks for emergency information, especially at this point in time where we have flood in some parts of the country. You have to keep your ears to the radio and the TV, and then erect embankments and clear drain channels. And of course, you follow instructions from public safety officials. And then if you must evacuate or are traveling during the flooding, please remember, it's important for you not to walk through flowing water. 6 inches of swift moving water can knock you off your feet. We have seen instances where individuals try to kind of gauge the depth of flood using their own sensibilities. And that's not advised at all. You can just wait until the flood water recedes. And of course, for our operational areas, we use protective equipment like life jackets, work vests when going through flooded and swampy areas. And then the third point, like I said, cars can be swept away in 2 feet of moving water. And then the last, which is very important, if you are in your homes and it's flooded, the first thing you should do is to turn off the electrical appliances to avoid electrocution, because water is a good conductor of electricity. Thank you very much. That will be all from me.
Thank you so much for going over that's safety brief. All right, moving on with the next item on our agenda will be introductions of our national and chapter executives. We'll recognize our national executives as they join us, but with the chapter executives, we have our chapter coordinator, Ed Boza, the deputy chapter coordinator, our general secretary, Mr. Isin Nico, our financial secretary, Mr. Danlami Bawa, our advisory council member, we have a public relations officer, Mr. Stephen Sack. We have our assistant general secretary, MSC. We have our wife chapter coordinator, Darlington Omorua, and our editor-in-chief, Mr. Joel Inebai. Let's just give a round of applause to our chapter executives. Now to recognize sponsors of today's technical session, that is JUVICLE Energy Resources giving forward. They will be giving a presentation. So JUVICLE Energy Resources, please, your remarks.
Everybody's talking from there now.
Thank you. We'll take our sponsors' remarks after the technical presentation today. Now to recognize the chairman for today's session, Professor C.S. Wajide. Professor C.S. Wajide pursued education at several prestigious institutions, including the Central School, Alor, DMGS Onitsha, University of Ibadan, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Western Australia, Thames Valley College, UK. He obtained a BSc honors in geology, Master of Philosophy, and a PhD in sedimentology and stratigraphy, alongside specialized certifications in minerals, science, technology, and training management. On his academic journey, so Wajide has received numerous accolades, including the Innocent Prize, Best Research Scholar, that's from the Faculty of Physical Sciences, UNM, in 1982. He also received the Vice Chancellor's Prize for Best Research Scholar at the UNM in 1982. The NFGS Professor Richard Raymond Medal for contribution in sedimentary geology, as well as the John H. Beck Prize for Research and Training, and the Matthew Adams Award. In his career, he served with the Geological Survey of Nigeria, rising to the position of Assistant Director. He later worked with Shell Nigeria, heading stratigraphy at the Geological Lab in Warri, and eventually becoming a professor of geoscience in Shell's Special Intensive Training Program. As a consulting geoscientist, he holds a particular interest in the study of outcrops, and his academic contributions include the publication of 60 papers in peer-reviewed journals, a book on sedimentary geology of Nigeria, and another on the anthropology of Alor. Professor Wajide is married with children and grandchildren. A round of applause. Let's welcome.
Thanks very much for the introduction. I hope I'm being heard by quite an impressive assembly about to listen to the topic fully espoused by Tunbosun of JUVICLE, titled Revealing the Geometry and Tectonostratigraphic Evolution of the Anambra Basin through a multi-data integration approach. Anambra Basin as a major sedimentary unit within Nigeria is not yet fully explored, but some discovery of hydrocarbons have been made there in 1967, and follow-ups have happened, and yet more of it will happen so as to fully assess the well-known potentials for hydrocarbon within the basin. I believe that the study that has been carried out by JUVICLE, appropriately titled multi-data integration, will further enlighten the large audience on the potentials. And hopefully some of the audience would be those ready to invest in order to fully harvest, fully prepare to harvest the very well-known hydrocarbon opportunities within the basin. I invite you to listen carefully to the expose that we are going to have the great opportunity to hear today from a company that had studied the basin very, very well. Thank you very much, and please listen to Tunbosun. Thank you. I believe Tunbosun should be further introduced by the coordinator of this program, or the MC. Anchor, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those opening remarks. We'd like to recognize the presence of the President of NAPE, Dr. Abiodun Ogunjobi, as well as the President-elect, John Bosco Uche. You're welcome, sirs. And we'll acknowledge our national executives as they join us in the course of today's program. Now, to present the biography of our guest presenter today, Mr. Tunbosun Owolabi. Tunbosun Owolabi is a senior geoscientist at JUVICLE Energy Resources. He holds a bachelor's degree in geology from the esteemed University of Ilorin and advanced his education with a master's degree in engineering and hydrogeology from the University of Ibadan. Recognizing his academic excellence, Tunbosun was awarded with a prestigious Petroleum Trust Development Fund scholarship, that's PTDF, to pursue another master's degree in petroleum geology at the University of Port Harcourt, a renowned center of excellence in Nigeria. During his academic journey, Tunbosun was a part of the winning team in the InterVarsity Basin evaluation competition at NAPE in 2018. He began his career with an internship at Chevron Nigeria Limited's Arts Department before transitioning to JUVICLE Energy Resources Limited. Tunbosun has collaborated with multidisciplinary teams on numerous high-impact projects, including unitization studies, field development plans, asset evaluations, basinal studies, fault seal analysis, and collaborative research. His expertise spans across several of Nigeria's key sedimentary basins, including the Niger Delta, Anambra, and Gongola basins. In addition to his professional work, Tunbosun actively volunteers with the Abuja chapter of NAPE, contributing to the advancements of the geosciences community. So with a round of applause, let us welcome our guest presenter today, Mr. Tunbosun Owolabi, as he makes
hello.
a presentation.
Yes, sir. Captain J.
Before we start the presentation today, we'd like to note a few ground rules for the meeting. For all our attendees, please mute your mic and turn off your camera. And if you have questions in the course of the presentation, you can type them in the chat section and they'll be taken during the Q&A session that comes up after the presentation. Thank you. And now welcoming our guest presenter today, Mr. Tunbosun Owolabi, as he presents on the topic, revealing the geometry and tectonostratigraphic evolution of the Anambra Basin through a multi-data integration approach. You're welcome, Mr. Tunbosun.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Please permit me to share my screen.
Yes, please.
Please, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, we
Okay.
I can see it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. I will be taking us through the topic, revealing the geometry and tectonostratigraphic evolution of the Anambra Basin through a multi-data integration approach. So here is my outline for this presentation. I will run us through an introduction, then we'll look at our objectives. We will then move to the tectonostratigraphic evolution of the Anambra Basin. We will define its boundaries, its depth of basement. We will also go ahead to define both its structural and stratigraphic framework. Upon completion of that, we are going to look at the key findings we got from this study. We take our conclusion, acknowledgement, and also we delve into our question and answers. So what's the overview of this basin? The Anambra Basin, as we know it, extends over 60,000 kilometers square. And this makes it a significant inland petroliferous sedimentary basin in Nigeria. Stratigraphically, we are looking at the basin at its base overlying the angular unconformity of the southern Benin Trough. While when we check it at its western margin, it lies non-conformably above the crystalline basement. Hydrocarbon prospectivity in the Anambra Basin has been positively indicated via gas shows, seeps of crudes, and some discoveries that have gone on from the mid-last century up till now. This has been done by well-known international oil companies, and we also have some local or indigenous players that are currently exploring within the Anambra Basin. Therefore, for us to be able to unlock its resource potential, it becomes important for us to understand its geometry and tectonostratigraphic evolution. However, due to its complex geologic history and limitation of available data sets, it has always been challenging to define its internal architecture. However, in this presentation today, we are going to use an integration or a combination of several data sets, such as our geologic map, gravity and magnetic maps. We will also use our biostrat data, well logs, and limited 2D seismic data so that we can have a detailed model of this basin's geometry. So what are the objectives? The first thing we seek to do is to be able to determine the areal extent of the basin using the Nigerian Geologic Survey geologic map. We will then go ahead to reconcile the lithologic boundaries using outcrop data so we can define what the lateral subsurface limit of each stratigraphic interval is. We will then use a combination of our gravity and magnetic data to determine our depth to basement, which gives us an estimation of the sedimentary pile thickness of stratigraphic intervals within the Anambra Basin. After that, we are going to use our biostratigraphic data to support all lithologic descriptions and also to correctly pick formation tops across the several wells that we had available for this study. Finally, an integration will then be done with the 2D seismic data so that we have a refined structural interpretation of this basin. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. So we will then delve into the tectonostratigraphic evolution of the Anambra Basin. The tectonic evolution of the Anambra Basin started in the Albian Aptian, and we had the continental fluvial conglomerate of the Ogoja Formation and Awi Formation that lies non-conformably on top of the basement. As of mid-Albian to late Albian, we had the deposition of the Abakaliki shales. This formed the lithologic unit that is being described as the Asu River Group, which is the oldest sedimentary unit that is known within the Nigerian basin. A transgressive event in the Cenomanian led to the deposition of the Eziaku Group, which is characterized by the presence of the Lokmanta shale. We have the Amasiri sandstone, while the regressive event within this place was marked by the deposition of the Umanfinsong limestone. Further deposition occurred within the Turonian to Santonian, where we had a regressive event that deposited the Ogu group as we know it, which is characterized by the presence of the Albani sandstone and the Onkalagu limestone. A major Santonian compression occurred that led to intensive folding and also inversion of the basin, such that sedimentary deposition shifted from the central part of the basin to its western margin, where we had the Anambra platform. This led to the erosion, the uplift of the Abakaliki anticlinorium as we know it today. An erosion of about 3,000 meters of sediment from the Abakaliki anticlinorium were deposited within the Anambra Basin, which we know as the Campano-Maastrichtian sediments in this place. These Campano-Maastrichtian sediments are actually defined by the Umporo group, which is dated Campanian, and it is defined by the presence of the Umporo shale and the Umporo shale and Enebu shale, which forms the Pro-Delta Fishi. While we have the Owolabi and the Otobi sandstone, the Owolabi and the Otobi sandstone which serves as the delta facies within this place. Further deposition led to the there was a further deposition of the Mammoth Formation as we know it, which on well log is characterized by a serration of sand and shales. On outcrops, we actually see the presence of coals within the Mammoth Formation as we know it, which is indicative of probable deposition within quiet water environments. This is then overlaid by the continental fluvial Ajali sandstone, which is seen on well logs as to be of uniform thickness across all wells, and is basically its lithology is defined basically by the presence of both sands and shales. Overlying the Ajali sandstone is the Unsuka Formation. After the Unsuka Formation, there was the onset of after the deposition of the Unsuka Formation, we had the progression of the prodelta of the Cretaceous was terminated by a transgressive event that led to the deposition of the Paleocene sediment, or the Cenozoic as we know it, which is marked by the presence of the Imo Shale. We had the deposition of the Umuna sands within the eastern Anambra Basin, and this forms the deep marine shales that extends into the Atlantic. An equivalent of this within the Niger Delta Basin is actually the Akata Formation. As we began to have a recession, we had the deposition of the Nanka sand, within the Anambra Basin, while within the Apipo Basin, we had the deposition of both the Bende and Ameki sandstone, which corresponds to the Agbada Formation as we know it within the Niger Delta. This event initiated a progradational development of the tertiary Niger Delta since the Eocene. Now, we are going to attempt defining the boundary definition of the Anambra Basin, making use of our geologic map gotten from NGSA. What we can see displayed here is the outline of Anambra Basin as seen on the Nigerian Geologic Survey map. However, we went ahead to use outcrop data to cross-reference and to ensure that we have an accuracy of the true extent of the Anambra Basin, as we would see it in what is being displayed in red here. With this, we have been able to establish the lateral extent, the aerial extent of the Anambra Basin as it is meant to be. We used other outcrop data to also confirm what we have done, and we had outcrop data from over 300 surface locations, which gives us the lithologic boundaries for the Anambra Basin stratigraphic intervals as they are. Here is a picture depicting the various outcrop points that we had for this study. And what we have in the blue, the purple, and in the black line shows the stratigraphic limits of the Unsuka, the Ajali, and the Mammoth formations as we know them. We went ahead to then define our depth to basement, as this will give us a control on the sedimentary pile thicknesses within the basin. We made use of both gravity and magnetic data, of which we had 39 data sheets for both gravity and magnetic. The Boga anomaly map helped us to show which focuses on using density differential to help us differentiate between our sedimentary pile and our basement complexes. We also have our aeromat data that will also help us to differentiate between our sedimentary pile and our basement boundaries, making use of magnetic anomalies. We have to transform a reduced to pole data to be able to know the differences between where our sedimentary pile is and where our basement boundaries occurred. We use three methods to be able to come to a conclusion of this. We use the tilt derivative method, we used a directional cosine method, and we were then able to generate a structural frame map which we then further we went ahead to then determine the sedimentary pile thicknesses by taking sedimentary profiles across these magnetic anomalies that we have seen. For the tilt derivative, we actually got a 3-kilometer upward continuation map that helped us to differentiate between the formation boundaries and the basements. It also showed us that the structural trend within the basin is actually a northeast-southwest, a northwest-southeast, and a east-west trending fault. For the directional cosine method, we adopted a north to south directional cosine filter. This is due to the presence of the northeast trending shear fractures that were dominant within this place. It helped us to isolate areas of low magnetic anomalies, which corresponds to what we will call depressions or what we will call sub-basins within the Anambra Basin. This method that was used helped us to eliminate ringing and also helped us to avoid disrupting the anomalies that are occurring within the basin. These sub-basins that we identified were due to trans-tectonic activities within the basin, and they appear as sigmoidal or trapezoidal shape. The last method we did was to develop a structural framework map, which we did taking a boundary limit of about greater than 500 meters. This way, we were able to ensure that we could see the regional continuity or regional terminations of our structures within the basin. Generally, we saw a northeast-southwest trend or a north-northeast-south-southwest trend, and we had very few northwest-southeast trend within this place. The northeast and north-northeast-southwest trend shows us that we are looking at a Pan-African orogeny system, while the northwest-southeast trend tells us that we are looking at a pre-Pan orogeny system. However, we had the northeast-southwest and the north-northeast-south-southwest trend that were prominent within this place. When we completed that, we then took profile lines perpendicular to these anomalies for us to be able to tell this perpendicular to these anomalies. What this helped us do is that at the end of the day, we're able to see that we had 4 sub-basins that were within this place, and we could see that the sedimentary pile thicknesses within these sub-basins were actually different, and they range between 10 to about 30,000 feet. With both the magnetic map, the gravity map on my left and magnetic map on my left, we're able to come up with these sedimentary pile thicknesses that we can see displayed just below here. So this is showing us the different sub-basins and their thicknesses. As we go forward, we will tell you what those thicknesses are. For us to define the stratigraphic framework within this place, our biostrats data came in very handy for us. We had both the micropaleontology data and the palynology data. And the micropaleontology data using our forum zones helped us to classify them into 2 ages. We could mark our early Paleocene, and we could also see our late Maastrichtian. Our late Maastrichtian was marked by the forum zone KS30 to KS31 and older, and was marked by the presence of Bolivina afra, Preambula opinima, and P. robusta, which are major markers of the Maastrichtian globally. While the earlier Paleocene was actually marked by the presence of what we call the F1 zone, and we use the combined occurrence of the Haplophragmoides excavata, the A. umboniferus, please permit me, with those names, they can be quite tongue twisting, to mark this zone. With our, we then went ahead to use our palynology to further subdivide these zones, and we had 4 sporomorphs that we used in classifying these to differentiate our Upper Cretaceous from our Paleocene. The Upper Cretaceous was subdivided into 3. The late Campanian, which is marked by the presence of our Unkoro group, the early Maastrichtian, which marks our Mamu, and the late Maastrichtian that marks our Ajali, while the Danian, was marked, which marks our Nsukka, was also dated using the P230 zone, which is marked by the top occurrence of the constructive pollinitis in effectors, while the P150, P170, and P190 were marked by the pollens that we can see displayed on the screen. For the P150, it was marked by the presence, the base occurrence of the C costatus, while for the P190, it was marked using the combined occurrence of the C ornatus and the R miniporatus. So with this, we were able to chronologically mark the tops of our formations across our wells. And we just have a sample of these being displayed for these two well sections that you are seeing being displayed. We then went ahead to look at our seismic facies character using our amplitudes and frequencies to mark these various formation tops. Due to the sedimentary pile thicknesses that we had, especially within the Onitsha sub-basin, most of the wells we had could not penetrate into the pre-Santonian event. So it's very key for us to differentiate our pre-Santonian from our post-Santonian event. Our pre-Santonian event includes from our Asu River group to our Ogu group, while our post-Santonian event is from our Nkoro group to our Nsukka group. So we were able to use their character. For instance, within the Nsukka, we noticed that the seismic character here were basically low to moderate amplitude with possible washout reflectors that were enveloped by stronger moderate amplitudes. And with this, we're able to mark various stratigraphic units within the Anambra Basin. We were also able to tell their place significance, such as marking what would be our potential seals, what could serve as our potential reservoirs, our potential source rocks within this place, helping us to know the play of our petroleum system elements and how the Anambra Basin is going to, what makes up the petroleum system element that will define the play within this place. We went ahead to also define the gross depositional environment of these various stratigraphic units, as we can see in this table here. The next thing we did was to define our structural framework, which includes the interpretation of our faults and our horizons. Of course, we had to use some seismic attributes for us to be able to see the playout of our faults within this space. And generally, we saw we had a back-to-back antithetic and synthetic faults within the place. Of course, what you can see here is just showing us one fault stick. But generally, across the basin, we saw normal faulting, and we also had them characterized as growth faults within those places. We're also able to mark our various horizons, showing us the various stratigraphic units within the Anambra Basin, using the lateral continuity of these seismic events, and we're able to differentiate the pre-Santonian from the post-Santonian event by an angular unconformity, which we clearly see on seismic. So what are the key findings from everything that we have done? The first thing we were able to pull out is we were able to estimate the sedimentary pile thicknesses of the various subunits, going from the Onitsha sub-basin, which is the thickest with about over 25,000 feet thick of sediment. It is followed by the Anambra, which had over 12,000 feet thickness of sediment. The Lafia, the Anambra had over 13,000. The Lafia had over 12,000 maximum feet thick of sediment, while the Afikpo sub-basin had the least thickness of sediment of about 11,000 feet. The next key thing we were able to build from this work is that we have been able to come up with a tectonostratigraphic chart using a combination of our outcrop data, our sedimentology data, our well logs, and good understanding of the tectonic evolution of this basin. We have been able to come up with a unique chart that you will not see anywhere that gives us a concise summary of how the Anambra Basin was formed and what you would expect within it. So in defining our structural framework, we had few challenges. The Anambra Basin covers about 65,000 kilometers square, However, the seismic data that we had to work with was just about 1/10 of it, and it was concentrated basically within the southern region of this study area. However, we had over 50 wells, and we then used a combination of our outcrop data, our depth to basement map, and our biostrat data to know how we are going to extrapolate the structural limits of each of these stratigraphic intervals that we have defined. Here is a picture depicting, this is a line of section running from northeast to southwest. That is, we are looking from Lafia down to the Onitsha sub-basin. And we can see the playout of these sediments. We will see the Aso group sitting non-conformably upon the basement complex, and we have a pre-Santonian event here that we will see very clearly within, and we will see very clearly that our Onitsha sub-basin actually has the thickest pile of sediments, like we earlier described. And we'll see that as we move from the Niger Delta to the Onitsha, as we move towards the Anambra sub-basin, we will see that earlier sediments defining the stratigraphic interval within the Anambra Basin, such as the Unsuka and the Ajali, begin to get terminated. And we now begin to see that as we move towards the Lafia sub-basin, the youngest we will be seen here is the Unkoro group. We also have another line of section that runs from northwest to southeast. Now, this is using an integration of our biostrat data, of our depth to basement map, and also our seismic interpretation. Like I mentioned earlier, the limit of our seismic interpretation was within the Onitsha sub-basin. However, with a combination of all of the aforementioned data set and also a good understanding of our geologic stratigraphic principles, such as lateral continuity of Fishy, and also our Walter's law of deposition, we were then able to extend our structural and stratigraphic framework. And this line of section shows us as we move from the Onitsha sub-basin, where we see our Anambra Basin unlap non-conformably with the Benin flank, which we can see here. While as we move towards the southeast, we will see that it continues even into the Gulf of Guinea and is as represented here. In conclusion, we were able to use a multi-data integration to build a comprehensive understanding of the complex geologic structure within the Anambra Basin, especially seeing the fact that we have to deal with limited data coverage. We were able to review the geometry of the Anambra Basin using a combination of geologic, geophysical, and biostratigraphic data. We have also been able to show the basin's tectonostratigraphic evolution, and we are now offering new insights into its structural framework and its depositional history. With this, we now have a refined understanding of the internal architecture that is at play within the Anambra Basin. And this will guide us in future exploration of this basin, especially in terms of its oil and gas potential. However, there is nothing like too much data for any work. Having more data makes our work easier. So we'll be recommending that if we have further seismic data and more well logs, we'll be able to have more detailed insight, especially in the underexplored areas of this basin. Okay, I would like to acknowledge, first of all, NAPI for providing us this platform to make this presentation. I would also like to appreciate FES, because this project was awarded under FES, which is now known as NSAB. Thank you for the support and for this opportunity. I would like to also thank the management of JUVICLE, starting from my CEO, Mr. Justin Dabua. Thank you. To my technical director, Mr. Clement Onyekwelu, thank you. And sorry, happy birthday, sir. Today is your birthday. I also like to thank my manager, Mr. Valentine Uwechi, for this opportunity. And I also like to mention a list of academias and also industry professionals that were able to give us mentorship and guidance, such as our chairman for the day, Professor Onwa Dide. He was part of this project. Thank you. Professor Okoro, Thank you, Professor Obaje, Professor Nakuba, Dr. Chinwoko, Dr. Princeton Dean, Dr. Obadi, Dr. Usman, Dr. Amobi, Dr. Odika, Mr. Alex Ushodi, Mr. A, thank you for advisory and mentorship, Dr. Jonathan Atunima. We also say thank you, Peter, and also thank you, Abdul. Thank you, everyone that contributed to this, and thank you to our listeners also. This will mark the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening.
Tunbosun, it's okay now. You are thanking a lot of people. It's my job you are doing, please.
Apologies, sir. Apologies.
Do your job and leave my job. I'm the coordinator of NAPE Benin. Please.
Apologies, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation, Mr. Tunbosun. Before we continue on in this session, we'd like to recognize the presence of some of our national executives. We have Patricia Ochobu, that's past president NAPE. We have Dr. Princeton Dean, the Oka Owerri chapter coordinator. We have Abimbola Biti, that's FNAPE, Ehi Bazuaye, vice president NAPE. We have Adiola James, treasurer NAPE, and Gerald Aja from NEPL. You're welcome, sirs. Now quickly, we'll be moving on to the recap to be taken by the chairman for today's session, that is Professor Nwajide.
Yeah, thank you very much. I didn't hear any clapping, any applause for the speaker who has done what I can consider a fantastic job of the whole matter of Anambra Basin. Now, there cannot be too much acknowledgement for the leadership of NAPE, beginning from the President Ogunjobi, John Bosco, and all the rest. Ehi Bazwai, I'm sure you'll be duly acknowledged, but it's good to mention that it's great you joined. Now, the lecture has simply emphasized one thing, and that is data integration. There is no such thing as seeing the elephant just by looking at, by touching the legs or something and saying it's like grass. So we see the elephant holistically, and that is the attempt by the speaker who is representing the job that's been done by JUVICLE. Now, the Anambra Basin, the model that has been used for the study can be applied virtually in every other basin. Maybe the easiest way for a very ordinary, small, young student is the outcrop. And that is where the study has emphasized. Outcrop data from 300 different locations would indicate that people have at least characterized the lithophases making up the basin. Deeper studies would now be by those that have been adequately mentioned, geophysics in particular, then data from the wells. These have been integrated. And Tunbosun has emphasized the idea of integration. From each of the methods, a lot of data bodies, data types have accumulated in such a way that eventually it is clear that the Anambra Basin requires even more studies along any of these lines that would eventually become integrated, so that the actual thing that we are looking for may now be more purposefully searched out. The most important finding is that there are essentially 4 sub-basins, of which Onitsha is the most extensive and has up to 28,000 feet of basement, of sediment that should be integrated in the studies, that should be further investigated using all the methods, including paleontologically, all the biostratigraphic studies, all the geophysical methods, all the well types. We saw just a glimpse of the petrophysical indicators as to what should be lying deep down, all these to eventually tell us how much oil we can get from the place. Investigations right from the middle of last century show us that there is oil, there is gas, but the appraisal and eventual assessment are waiting further studies, which have been started by JUVICLE, courtesy the government of Nigeria, body that is in control of all the studies. And as has been recommended, more studies using all the methods that have been applied here to investigate. And the studies show now that we have some fairly shallow basins where the prospects may not be very high, to deep basins, deeper sub-basins where investigation has to be concentrated, according to the recommendation of this study. Structural framework that will enable the exploration of underexplored areas, especially the Onitsha sub-basin. Thank you very much. This should be the main thing. Integration, then particular targets that show the greatest promise because of depth and great pile of sediments that we investigated further. Thank you very much. This, I think, is the main thing in value of integration. Thank you.
Thank you
We
very
can now
for that
question.
excellent recap. Let's give a round of applause to our presenter once again, and another round of applause to our chairman for today, Professor Nwajide, for that excellent recap. Now we'll take questions. We have one question from Julius Addition, and it says, how do you rank the Onitsha sub-basin to be more prospective than others within this Anambra basin based on the available data evaluated? I'll take the question again. How would you rank the Onitsha sub-basin to be more prospective than others within this Anambra basin based on the available data evaluated?
Okay, thank you. That was an excellent question. Based on data evaluated, well, you would agree with me that there is a bit of a data bias, because most of the exploration that we have is within the Onitsha sub-basin currently, as it is. By the time we have more data sets, we might be able to, because the data, it seems to be biased towards the Onitsha sub-basin as it stands, but as we accumulate more data and we actually check it, we will see that other basins, other sub-basins within the Anambra basin are actually very prospective too. Let me give you this instance. This is just a fraction of what has been done in this particular project. We went ahead to build a 3D basin modeling for this project. And one thing that should concern anybody in terms of exploration first is the availability of charge. And one thing that we have been able to show from our 3D basin modeling is that charge, the petroleum system element is actually available across all of the sub-basins that have been identified. And we have also been able to establish the fact that there is charge. The source rock within this place, which could actually be from the pre-Santonian or the Santonian, the Umporo group, right, has actually generated, it has expelled. The hydrocarbon that has been expelled has also been accumulated. There are evidences for that already. So as we get more data within the basin, we will actually be able to tell the true state of prospectivity of other sub-basins within this place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunbosun, for that. We have another question from Oladotun Oluwajano saying, how did you map Ezeaku Formation and Asu River Group across the Anambra Basin? field wells, the Ihandiagu 1 and the Mbala 6 wells penetrated these formations. Do you have the question, sir?
Okay, thank you for that question on how we're able to map this. Like I mentioned earlier, the seismic character for each of these stratigraphic intervals were actually different. That was one thing. Aside from even using the angular unconformity that we saw to actually differentiate what is pre-Santonian from post-Santonian, the seismic character was different. And for the few wells that actually penetrated this place within the Anambra sub-basin, we're also able to follow what the event will most likely be like within our seismic session. And we also have biostrat data in this place that also help us to confirm what we are looking at.
Right. Thank you. So we have a hand raised. Adam Suleiman, we're allowing you to speak. So unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity and well done for the well insightful presentation. So basically I have 3 questions. And number one is, you said you run petroleum system modeling, right? Confirm, please. Hello, Tunbosun.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, we did. We have a 3D basin model for the Anambra Basin. Okay,
so you normally generate the 3D modeling from what you have of the 2D. And basically, I mean, if you have gravity, magnetic data constraint, and some of the seismic. So my question is, did you do 2D petroleum system modeling based on the available vintage 2D seismic data, which I have seen one of them? And the reason being that when you have a 2D, is beta constrained when you have especially that seismic data compared to the 3D that is looking at the generic of the basin. So did you run like 2D modeling? And number 2, are you able to constrain your fault control? Because if you go back to that map, the original map you showed, if you can, in that model, can you go back one of the slides where you have the delineation of the difference of basins from Onitsha to
need for currently the host is sharing the screen, so I would need to.
Okay, so that's my question number 1. Yes, it's concerning the 2D modeling that could give you a better precision compared to the 3D. And number 2 is, were you able to delineate the plate distribution, especially within the Onitsha sub-basin? Are we looking at lower Cretaceous, upper Cretaceous, and Tertiary, or how is the plate distribution? This is simply because I know probably your study tried to tie it with the lower Benue Trough, where basically the Tertiary or Cenozoic plate doesn't exist. So how is the distribution in the Onitsha? And the last one is, were you able to take the cognizance of the impact of magmatism, which you have explained, affected, or there was some igneous activities in the tectonostratigraphic evolution of the basin. So was that integrated into your modeling? So basically, these are the 3 questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. That's quite a number. I will make attempts at them. For the question on the basin modeling, if we built a 2D basin modeling, yes, we have one, but you know, we focus more on the 1D and 3D basin modeling, but we actually built a 2D basin modeling. And what went into that, like you mentioned, include the basement map that we built using our gravity and magnetics to know how this the sediments outplay is going. We also had geochem data and all of that. We use it to constrain our model so that what we are looking at playing out within the place and also have a very good understanding of the old tectonics, the geochemistry of the area and co, to be able to build that petroleum system model that we're looking at. You asked if we're able to delineate the plate distribution, especially within the Anambra surveys. Yes, we're able to do that because we're able to establish the presence of our key petroleum system elements, such as our reservoir presence, chat presence, seal presence, the presence of our trap. We're able to delineate the plate distribution within the Onitsha sub-basin and also within the Anambra basin as we understood it with the available data that we have. Well, that is another part of the work which I'm not presenting at the moment here. You also asked about the kind of, whether we're looking at the Cretaceous play, whether it's lower or upper. We're actually able to see two plays there, both for the lower and the upper Cretaceous play. And also from other studies that we know have been done in this place, we also paid attention to such work. And we saw that they also define two plays within the place. You have the lower Cretaceous and the upper Cretaceous plays within the play, within the Anambra basin. Then finally, you asked if we took about cognizance of the magmatism within the place. Yes, in short, some wells actually encountered volcanics within, which we saw very clearly. And we saw a play of that on some part of our seismic section. So we took cognizance of it when we're actually doing this work, when we're building that tectonostratigraphic chart that you saw. If you take out time and you zoom into it, you will see that we took cognizance of that magmatism within the basin as it is. So we took account of that when we were building our basin and in the course of the work entirely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunbosun. We have a question from Olabisi Adikeye saying, what is the variation of the depositional environment across the Anambra Basin based on the different traverses you have considered? What is the variation of the depositional environment across the Anambra Basin based on the different traverses you have considered?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Adikeye, thank you. The different environments we could see, we could actually see the playout of the shallow marine, even up to the backyard within those spaces. We saw the outplay of the inner neritic, the mid neritic, the outer neritic. In some places, we also saw the outplay of the marginal marine within the place. So we saw a variation of this across different traverses as we could, as we saw them actually. So we're able to mark those depositional environments. If I could share my slide, when I go back and I share my slide with you, we actually see where we're able to mark out all of these different depositional environments. In short, you will remember that I mentioned the presence of the Pro-Delta within the Onkoro group, which is marked by the presence of the Onkoro shale and the Enugu shale. Basically, when you are looking at that Pro-Delta, one thing that comes to your mind is that you are looking at, you're on the continental shelf, and you're looking at, I think that should be between your mid to inner neritic. So we're able to mark all of these different depositional environments as they played out within the place. The shallow to mid marine and all of that, we actually mark it and we're able to identify them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And we'll take our final question today from Mr. Princeton Jim.
All right. Thank you very much. Confirm you can hear me, please.
Yes, we can, Dr.
Yeah. Speak
All
on.
right. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah, mine is just to commend Tunbosun for a great job, and also thank the organization or the establishment JUVICLE. You know, this goes beyond just making this presentation. A lot of us now in this call are seeing some of these for the first time. And for those in the university, it's going to change the understanding of this basin. For instance, for the first time, we are seeing that Anambra Basin is not just a basin. We are seeing the speaker mentioning about 3 more looks like sub-basin. I mean, even at master's level and people that have graduated, they see this as one basin. But now, more information is coming out, and I have to thank FES for allowing this to be released. And I'm happy the NAPE president is here. This is quite commendable. I have to say, I'm not speaking for the president again or the ESCOs, but again for NAPE. This is what we want. Thank you to Benin, thank you to JUVICLE, and thank you for this presentation. Well done.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dame. And on that note, we've come to the end of the presentation part of today's meeting. We will now take announcements and other communications from our Publicity Secretary, Mr. Stephen Sacco.
Okay, thank you, Damilola, for a wonderful coordination. And I want to quickly intimate also some of our activities as an association. So the first is our obligation to the association by paying our dues. And as stated there, we can see the different categories. And for us as active members is 12,000. And also this is also a requirement for you to become a member of NAPE. So when you pay your dues, that is your obligation, then you have a voice. So when you pay your dues, what you can do is to be able to send your receipt to tunde at tunde.a@nape.org.ng, so that one will become a record and you will also be issued a receipt. So after today, tomorrow, we are also going to have the same technical meeting that is for the Lagos chapter now. We also have an activity that is going to come up between 27 and 28. I guess should be Friday and Saturday now, where the doctor, the chairman of this occasion, is also going to be the consulting geologist facilitating this program. So as an association, we have currently an election into some key positions that are ongoing. Starting from September 1st, our IREF, or the voting platform, has gone live, and it's only for duly active members in terms of your obligation as your due. So you can go there and also have a voice by voting for the candidate of your choice. And voting is for us to know that it's going to end on the 15th of October, after which we're going to know who eventually emerges as the winner. So the next slide is going to show us some of the candidates. This is for the president-elect. It's actually unopposed. We also have Secretary General as unopposed. We have the Financial Secretary. It's also unopposed. Publicity Secretary. She's also unopposed. But for the position of the Treasurer, we have two candidates, Mr. Emeka Ezekulu and also Dr. Kendi Ola Paranye. So you are supposed to choose one of them while voting. We also have a candidate and two candidates for the position of Editor-in-Chief. Then for the Assistant General Secretary, we have three. You have to choose one of them. And also for the Assistant Editor-in-Chief, we also have two candidates. Then we also have some common activities, and this is a conference. Next slide. We also have an energy growth through an enabling environment. This is taking place in Cape Town, South Africa, between 4th and 8th of November. So this is the one that concerns us most. This is our annual conference. So all of us are encouraged to be part of this. And we have an early bird registration, which costs only 90,000 Naira for active members. And if you miss the early bird, which closes on the 31st, you are going to pay us your fee complete, which is 120,000. So you should take opportunity of this early bird, and so that you can be able to register for the conference and enjoy all the benefit that comes with it. So we also have the abstract section, and this is going to close on the 30th of September, where the issuance of letters for the judges and all the people that are going to be involved as faculties during the conference are going to coordinate the activities. We also have a pre-conference short courses, which is very, very important too, as part of the knowledge sharing in NAPE. We have them listed here from 1 to 6 any one of them, if you're interested, you can be able to indicate by registering. And just as we have also said, the fee for students is 50,000, and for members is between 90 to 120,000, depending on the cost. So these are the facilitators now that are going to take the different classes during the short course period. So this is also part of the short course have been broken down. Let's go to next slide. Flip, next slide. Okay, these are some of the sponsors now for our international conference and exhibition. Just be flipping through. We appreciate all of them for their commitment and also for seeing our association growth and by contributing to ensure that NAPE is always on ground to offer the best to the country. We thank you all for your sponsorship.
No, never get the president. Never read them. President need to talk.
They keep scrolling. We appreciate you all, our sponsors. Thank you so much. So on this note, I want to yield the floor to the president-elect, Tunbosun, for his own remarks and based on all the things that I've said, because it falls directly under his podium. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Confirm you can hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, thank you. Don't mind my background. We just had this exciting one of geology last week with the WIGE, so it's okay. It's all about what we're doing here about continuing education activities. So thank you for this opportunity, and I really want to say a big thank you to, again, Benin chapter for the excellent work you've been doing. I must say you've ended strongly as well. If I look at the people in the room when it showed up in a second, and those that are online, it is quite a very big attendance. So a lot of credit to the work you've been doing, which is the reason why you have this kind of number. And again, for the topic, which I think the speaker and our erudite professor chairman also have done quite justice to. So just to comment and put my voice in that regards. So I just want to say, again, thanks to the announcer and the moderator for the sharing some of the activities that are lined up for you. We kind of trying to wind down some of the monthly and technical and business meeting, which this is one of them. So this is the last one for Benin chapter, which is ending on a strong note. Tomorrow, then one more in Lagos, which is going to end for the Lagos one. And then I think there are a few more for other chapters. So it has been quite an excellent outing in there, especially our chapter coordinators. They've done excellently well. So, but having said that, we are now, again, gradually translating into the pre-conference activity, which has been announced just before now. So I just want to urge you, if you have a paper submitted and accepted, you should have received the acceptance letter by now. And I will really urge you to ensure you submit your full abstract, because, or full paper, in other words, your full paper, because that's the only way you can guarantee even winning a prize. You can have the best paper, but if you don't have the full paper submitted, then you can't even be considered for first, second, or third position. So don't deny yourself that opportunity by not submitting your full paper before the deadline of the 30th that was shared earlier. So that's one thing I want to bring to the table. Then the pre-conference short course is excellent one. If you look at the lecturers that we've lined up, they are the best in the industry. So, again, I will urge you to really take advantage and register if you haven't done so. And for the conference itself, the registration is ongoing, and don't let end of October to catch you, because if you want to attend it after 31st of October, then you probably pay more. So why not pay less and register right now? I will urge you. So there's a lot of the team are working so hard to ensure that we deliver the best conference for you. So I just want to add that voice. But on that note, I really want to say thanks everybody. Again, Benin chapter, because this is the last time I will show up here as the president-elect. The next time I show up here, I'll show up as a different person. So I really want to say thank you. And also for the support and the collaboration we've had since the beginning of the year to deliver some of this program together. And of course, not without the support of the presidents and the other ESCO members to deliver this program, which is the key element of the continuous education program for NAPE. I know this topic, we've listened to it, but let me also say, what do we do with this? It's not going to just go easily, away. This year we've received a lot of representation, excellent ones around Anambra Basin, around the frontier basin, so we need to be able to find a way. I know I've mentioned this in one of the forums before, that we are going to be having something called Frontier Basin Workshop sometime in the future. And I want to urge the presenter and the speaker and JUVICLE as well, just to be ready when that time comes. We will definitely need all your input, because at the end of the day, it is to increase the economic base of this country. If we find more hydrocarbon, be it in the Niger Delta, be it in the Benue Trough, be it in Anambra Basin, it is to the good interest of this country and for every single one of you, any person, everybody on this call, because it's going to trickle down to the citizens as well. So I think it's good that this insight is coming to bear in terms of where the potentials still remain in this country. So on that note, I will hand back to the moderator, but thank you very much. And then again, our chairman, the speaker, and the other ESCOs on the call for joining this session. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for your remarks and your comments. Moving on now, we'll have a short remark from the sponsors of the technical session today, JUVICLE Energy Resources Limited. So for 3 minutes only, after which we'll take remarks from the president of NAPE himself. JUVICLE Energy Resources.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone that have joined, and thank you for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have you today listening to us. It's our first time of sponsoring this event, and we want to do more. First is to appreciate the executive leadership of NAPE, Mr. Abiodun, Ehi, John Bosco, and all the members who have been moving this organization within the past 1 year, and even before it. Professor Wajide, we appreciate your sharing of this event, but more we appreciate the Benin chapter, who some of them were part of the study and identified that it would be good for us to start sharing. One of the things this provides is an opportunity to take it from that commercial project it was for the country and for NNPC and bring it to the environment where it becomes very useful for investors and for a lot of people in the economic environment. Some of the challenges we have had with Frontier Basin is data not being so much available for those who want to look at it, and also the economic challenge of it trying to compete with the Niger Delta in terms of incentives that could make it attractive for optimal investment. But we believe that the more we bring to the forefront the knowledge, the richness of the data, the richness of the geology and petroleum system and potentials, that people will start looking into it, and we can harness the resources that is there. In JUVICLE, that is what we'll do. We are positioning ourselves to be a foremost organization of reckoning in Nigeria, and we appreciate that our objective aligns very much with NAPE's objective, which is utilizing our local resources, and we'll try to do things with process and to compete with the IOCs who have been in Nigeria for a very long time, using primarily our local resources, especially very young ones. We noticed that our industry is doing a crew change. A lot of times you see those who retire, leave the country and go to other parts. And one of the things we do is to bring back those knowledge to help to serve the industry better in the areas of geoscience and petroleum engineering of different aspects of the services. And like you have seen in our presentation, our commitment is to do more, both in the service we render to the industry and to support, dedicate more in supporting NAPE. I am a geoscientist. My CEO is a geoscientist, and I'm coming from the background and knowing what the organization has done for us, starting from our young time as students. We do not have any other alternative than to support NAPE, and we will be participating in the conference and be coming out for the first time, and we hope to exhibit more. thank you very much for the opportunity, and we hope to work with you more in expanding the knowledge base in our industry and enriching our local content. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your remarks. So a big applause to JUVICLE, our sponsors of today's session. Yes, the plaque presentation will be coordinated by chapter coordinator, and now we'll take the closing remarks from President NAPE, Mr. Abiodun Ogunjobi, F. NAPE. Sorry.
Thank you, the moderator, and good afternoon, everyone. I will just quickly ride on the comment made by the president-elect. First of all, let me appreciate JUVICLE for the sponsorship of this occasion. We appreciate not just giving the resources, but also providing us the opportunity to listen to one of your staffs presenting this topic to us. We appreciate the fact that from your statement, be a geologist yourself, your CEO a geologist, and you also deem it fit to be part of this noble association that are giving so much to our knowledge of finding oil and gas in the Nigeria basin. And the frontier has actually been gaining a lot of attention in recent time. And I think the best time to continue to have this kind of discussion is now. And I want to thank you for the time that you have taken to put together these resources and also the presentation. Let me also appreciate our own Professor C.S. Wajide. Prof has always been there. Each time he's being called upon, he has not hesitated to give his knowledge to the industry. I'm sure you can see some of the flyers that are being posted. You see that Prof is everywhere. So I want to say a big thank you to Prof for the love that he has in sharing the knowledge and passing on the baton to the younger generation. We appreciate you, sir. Special thanks to the Benin chapter coordinators and the entire school. Like the PE said, you're actually ending this year chapter technical meetings on a very resounding note, and also having a good topic like this. I really appreciate all the ESCO and the moderator. I'm sure the PE has said this before. We are moving the moderator to HQ to start moderating in the HQ technical conference. It was a very resounding moderation, and I give it to you. Thank you so much for bringing everybody together and keeping us on our seat to listen to the presentation. Like the year is coming towards the conference. I mean, that is the climax of all our activities that we do at chapters and in the HQ. So the conference is very near. If you have not registered, please do register. The short courses are there to also increase our knowledge, and participation in the technical sections and also the networking opportunity in the conference is something that nobody will like to miss. And this conference is coming with a unique innovation because we also be partnering with another energy institute that will bring quality and content to our conference this year, and I don't think it's something that anybody will like to miss. We have very erudite speakers who are already lined up to speak at the conference. So please get on to the website, the conference website, and register to be part of this conference. I want to say a big thank you to all the members of NAPE on the call. I saw the number was very impressive at the time that we start. Thank you very much for believing in us and trusting us to pilot this association of ours together. I wish everybody a very wonderful day. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and your commendation. Thank you to everyone for attending, and we'll close out with other activities at our viewing centers here in Benin City.
Yeah, DP, thank you very much. Like I rightly said, we're moving to the viewing center. You know, Benin, this presentation is hybrid actually. Benin chapter thinker meeting is normally hybrid because if you go to our viewing center, we have over 70 people waiting for me there to go and take care of them. So maybe we'll be doing other activities at the viewing center. But thank you very much, Mr. President, best president so far, for bringing our incoming peers, Publicity Secretary to National. I'm going to bring them. You trust me. I will mobilize Benin chapter to the conference. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Leader.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Well done. Inusa. Okay.
My name is John Bosco Uche, the president-elect and the chairman Conference Planning Committee of Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists, NAPE. I want to use this opportunity to invite you to our annual international conference and exhibition holding from the 10th to 14th of November 2024 at Eco Hotel and Suites. Have you registered for the conference? If you have not, register right now through the link on the screen. See you there.
Okay.